Making music today can be as simple as typing a prompt into AI, recording a voice memo into your phone, or opening up an app like BandLab. With all the technology at our fingertips, creating has never been more accessible or affordable. I've been making music since 2008, growing with every new innovation along the way. And even though I'm from the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin, this video is proof and encouragement to anyone, no matter where you are from, that you should keep chasing the craft and fighting the good fight. Before I get too wrapped up into this topic, if you've got other topics you want me to cover about music or the creative process, please drop them in the comments below. I would love to try my best to answer or explain those processes through my lens. When it comes to making music, everybody has their starting point. For me, I started with a $60 Best Buy mic, my personal laptop, which I believe was like $700 at the time. This was back in 2008. I was in my childhood bedroom. That was free at the time. There was no professional studio. There was no room like I'm in now. There was no monitor. There was no nice computer to record music on. No nice mics that I could use, and tons of different techniques that I knew about. It was just me in my room with a mic and a laptop, trying my best to figure it out. Again, this was in a trailer park, so it wasn't like a lavish room. It wasn't like it was well treated or anything like that. I tried many different techniques to get the best possible recording I could, and there was no one that I knew at the time that made music. It was just watching some YouTube videos and trying to figure it out. The moral of the story is you don't need to worry about how you start making music. You just need to get started. And I know that's super cliche, but it really does ring true. Even to today, I still don't know everything about making music. Even after, 15 years of making music, there's still things I'm learning all the time. And I'm still evolving as an artist. So moving on with the important stuff that I wanted to talk about in this video. One, we're making music in a rural area. One of the first questions you're gonna need to answer is how you're going to share your music. We don't have some of the things that these large cities have, as an underground scene that you can just kind of talk to some people and find out what you all need to do to be successful in music. For people that are in rather rural areas, you're going to have to release music on some type of a platform. YouTube is obviously the one that I chose, is my main platform. There wasn't things like DistroKid or TuneCore back in those days to where you could release it on all your platforms right away. And if you don't have money like I did, YouTube is going to be a free option to SoundCloud, BandLab, or just any other social media network in general. By this point, every social media platform has been the spark of some independent artist career for a while. So there's been people who have made it off Facebook. TikTok's obviously been doing really great as of late. YouTube for many years was the primary platform. Twitter, I don't have like an example, but I am sure there's been somebody who has primarily been on Twitter and that has been their way to gaining success. However, we are in a rural area. There are still some surprising options that a lot of people don't lean into if you're in a rural area. If it's, you're a little bit embarrassed of your music, you don't know if the people around you are going to like it, but they can be surprisingly effective, and that's going to be friends and family. If you have friends and family that like the same type of music you like, or the music that you're creating, are they going to give you always the best advice? No, but they're going to try their best to give you the best advice they know how to. If you're still a high school student, schools can be another good place to push your music and get it out there. If you're older than that, your coworkers, the people you work with. I have kind of done each one of these a little bit, and they've all been rather effective in some capacity. Shoot, there's still some fans that from my first job working at Buffalo Wild Wings that still talk to me about music from time to time. So definitely coworkers can be a good place, and they'll definitely continue to promote you, especially if they like your music. They'll continue to promote you years after you've worked with them, because they believe in the dream, and sometimes that can be another form of connection. One of the challenges you're going to have to overcome is there is a steep learning curve, and there is a large amount of things that you're going to have to learn, especially if you're trying to approach this from a rural area and you don't have a lot of other connections that can help you with some of these things. For me, mixing and mastering was always something I struggled with, and it took me a very long time to get to a point where the mixing and mastering was, I would say, it's adequate now. It's not gonna deter somebody from my music at this point, but it did take me a long time to get to that point. You're gonna have to learn how to basically do some graphic design stuff so that way you can create the packaging, so that way you're able to market it, and it's actually gonna potentially grab somebody's attention to where they'll be interested in even listening to whatever you have on this album or the single. If you're going to do a platform that requires video like YouTube or something like that, you're going to need to know video editing. Now that can go from very basic video editing to just a picture and those type of things, all the way up to creating a full music video, which I have done myself. If you're going to create music videos, you have to kind of learn how to use a video camera or your phone and get good angles and good shots and things like that. So there's a ton of stuff to learn, and the learning curve can be rather steep. So that is just one of the challenges you're going to have to face if you're in a rural area where there's not a lot of people that do these type of things. I mean, most of the people I know that do any type of video editing in my area, all majority do weddings and things like that. And they can be a good source that you can reach out to if you're open to working with other people. But if you're not, you're going to have to learn all this on your own. I do not want to exclude anybody here just because I came from a struggling situation. You could be in better circumstance or situation than I was in. You may have the money to pay for some of these things like graphic designing, marketing, video editing, filming, mixing and mastering. Those are all things that you could pay for theoretically, and that could give you a leg up over the competition. But if you don't have those things, or you don't have the ability to pay for those things, those are going to be things you're going to have to work on. The last challenge is finding a community, because communities are where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck of people that like your music and are willing to help you and push you and give you advice on a regular basis. And for people that are in rural areas, that's going to be on the internet. I have been in many different communities over the time. Some have worked out, some have not. Some I'm still friends with, 10 years down the road. Others I have never talked to since the day that I was in their group or whatever it was. YouTube has always been a place where I've been able to find other like-minded creators. And I've been able to, talk to them on Instagram or talk to them on Facebook, depending on what it was. We start a little Facebook group where we all kind of promote each other's music. We give each other feedback, those type of things. The internet is a vast place, and you can find a lot of places that can help you with those things. Next is a rural artist. What we need to realize is that growth is not linear. It's not a straight line. You get one artist, one fan, then 2 fans, then 4 fans. It's not that straight progression. You're going to get 10 fans, and then you're going to get 15 fans, and you're going to lose 4 fans, and you're going to gain 50 fans, and you're going to lose 20 fans, and it's going to be this constant wave of up and down. Hopefully over time, you end up higher than where you started. But you do have to realize that you're going to have moments where you're growing really rapidly and everybody's liking the music that you're putting out. And then you're going to have moments where, you might change the type of music you make, and then that turns some people off of the music that you are putting out. So just realize that growth is not linear. It's steps, it's stages, it's kind of things like that. And don't be so tied to your following. Tons of people get very tied to the streaming numbers and the fans that they have. And if they have a ton of fans cheering them on, they'll keep making great music. If they have a couple bad days or a couple bad songs where they seem to lose a little bit of traction, they also lose the motivation to continue on with making music. One of the good things about making music is, regardless of the quality, how good, how bad it is, regardless of the genre, there is over a few billion people on this planet, and I guarantee you it could be the worst music you've ever heard. There is a genre of people that will play it and like it and will enjoy the music that you're putting out. Wherever you're starting, that should give you guys some type of motivation that you can do this, right? Even if you don't know where those fans are today, doesn't mean that you're not going to find them in the future. Next, there's no secret promotional website that's going to get you real fans overnight. you're going to have to put in work to find music fans. Where are the fans, you ask? They're going to be on live streaming music reaction pages, and that can be on any platform. Live in-person events. You go to a music concert, and even though you're not the artist there, you're standing in a group full of people that enjoy music. If it's a artist or a band that you kind of sound similar to, feel free to talk to some of the fans if they are interested. Give them a little business card where they can find you, check out your music, those type of things. If there's local radio stations that promote music or music podcasts online that you can reach out to and do a little segment and talk to them, and they can play a couple of your songs, those are all great places to go. Some prominent scams that I have, paid for myself is playlisting. Now, not all playlisting is bad, but most playlisting is bad. I would say the only playlisting that I've come across that's legitimate is people that you meet authentically through other people, and they talk to this other person that they know that has like a small playlist that has a couple hundred people that listen to it. That is going to be a real authentic playlist where you can reach out to that person, and if they like, or they have a couple playlists that they can put you on, you could DM them, and that would be something I would 100% pay for myself. Paid promotion other than Facebook or Google or X.com. If I'm going to pay for a promotion for any amount of my music, I'm going to go to Facebook directly, watch some YouTube videos, and learn how I want to set up a campaign and put the money into it that way. And then with paid promotion, you have to have realistic expectations, right? Just because you get an ad in front of 100,000 people, what is a good rate of return on getting 100,000 people to see your ad? You need to have realistic expectations on what that's going to be, and realize that when you're putting the money in. My biggest takeaways from this video is there is a ton to learn. Don't wait for perfection, because you don't get perfection from watching videos like this and waiting for the perfect setup. Perfection is never going to happen. You're never going to get better. You only get better if you start where you are and work towards improving along the way, right? Music is a journey. Everything that is worth doing in life is a journey. You don't just start off amazing, right? Even Justin Bieber, or Taylor Swift, people that are massive artists didn't start off singing these massive hits, right? They started off singing in church choirs or writing songs and just posting them on the internet. Like, there are remnants of these things where they weren't perfect, but they just got started in their stories. Your story is going to have a very similar beginning. Where it ends up, that's up to you, and that's up to really God at the end of the day. And again, this is just my experience. I'm making music in rural America. Hopefully it helps you in your journey, or at a minimum, it helps you or inspires you to get started. If you're interested in hearing my music at all, you can go check out my latest track, Wrestling Silence by DRGN or Dragon, whichever you prefer to call me. And if you want to see more behind the scenes music creation topics like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. With that being said, love you guys so much. Peace.